Welcome to Animated Tops and Flops, where we dive into the best and worst episodes of your favorite animated series. My name is Alyssa.
And my name is Janice. Come tour Springfield with us while we continue our talk in Season 1 about The Simpsons.
Let's get on with this second to last episode of our season.
Let's do it!
All right, our top of this episode is going to be Season 8, Episode 23, Homer's Enemy, rated at a whopping 9.3, our highest rated episode ever.
Yeah.
And Janice, you want to talk about our flop?
Absolutely. And our flop is going to be Lisa Goes Gaga, Season 23, Episode 22, rated at a solid 4.
Which is the worst rating ever.
Worst episode ever.
So we got our best and our worst pitted against each other today. And we did it on purpose because...
Yes, we did.
Who doesn't love a best and worst? Ugh.
Absolutely. And I'm so excited to see where our bracket goes because we're a bit behind on the bracket and we are going to try to, catch it up to the finals for this episode. We're recording a little bit earlier from when this is released. So we're going to try to catch up on our bracket so that we could really see what is the best and what you all agree to be the worst episode ever. And that'll conclude The Simpsons for us. Oh my God. It gets more real every time I say it.
I know, and it's making me so sad. But now I have a new obsession with The Simpsons that I forgot about, so thank you for that, Janice.
No, of course. Here for your nostalgia needs.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Devin's sick of it already.
Austin sometimes... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Devin's like, I can't listen to you watch The Simpsons again. I'm like, you should watch it. He goes, no, I don't like it as much as you. And I was like, oh.
I mean, fair. Austin will pop in sometimes and he'll be like, oh, that's kind of funny, actually. And I'm like, see, just sit down and watch an episode.
Just come here, right here. Just pop a squat right next to me. I'll watch The Simpsons for a couple hours.
Exactly. I did make him watch the Treehouse of Horror 33, the one that won the Emmy, because I was like, you have to, because we started watching Death Note and it had Westworld reference and the Babadook. I was like, we've seen all these, we have to watch this one. So I made him watch that in the monorail, and he was like,
the monorail,
it is pretty good.
yeah, we know. Okay,
All
Janice,
right.
hit us with that top synopsis.
Top synopsis. So for those of you who may have not watched this episode in a while, or you've never seen this episode at all, I'm going to give you a very brief yet detailed synopsis of the episode. All right. So we open on Kent Brockman finishing a story saying, well, if it is true, we all die. And I just have to take a second there to appreciate how morbid of that opening was. It was so freaking funny. The first line of the episode.
So the first line is exactly, which, if true, means death for us all. Because I fucking love that line. I have it written down.
Yes. So we open up on this very morbid line, which, if true...
means death for us all.
Means death for us all. Very morbid. And then Kent Brockman turns to the camera and says, in other news. So we then cut to Kent Brockman describing, doing a special on Frank Grimes. Basically his origin story from how he was orphaned to his now success as a nuclear engineer with all of these fancy degrees. He really is a self-started man. Burns sees this story and demands Grimes be hired at the plant and made vice president, which he later also sees a dog on TV and says, that dog, Smithers, find me that dog to be vice president. Anywho, we cut to Grimes actually at the plant being hired, and Burns going, who is this guy? And he's like, you asked me to find him and hire him. And Grimes is put into Lenny, Carl, and Homer's sector. So Carl, Lenny, and Homer greet Frank, and friction starts between Frank and Homer. Frank learns Homer doesn't have a degree and is the safety inspector for the plant. Cut to Bart. So this is the second plot of this episode. Cut to Bart at the DMV with Marge. He stumbles upon an auction and buys a factory for $1. Going back to Frank, Homer eats Frank's lunch, chews on all his customized pencils, and neglects his job. Frank saves Homer from drinking acid and gets chewed up by Burns for spilling acid and ruining his wall. Frank declares Homer as his enemy, and Milhouse is recruited as VP of Bart's factory that he is just chilling out in. So Homer invites Frank over to dinner to try to turn him from foe to friend, which actually makes things worse. Frank finds this insulting because Homer is living in a beautiful house with a beautiful wife with smart kids and seems to really have it all. His nose is really being rubbed in his misfortune. Frank tries to prove to the plant that Homer has the intelligence of a child, and he wants everyone to see Homer the way that he is, which is a childlike idiot. So he puts together a fake flyer for a contest for kids to come up with the best power plant. And Homer sees the flyer and he enters the contest and he ends up winning. And everyone is cheering him on. And Frank just goes into a complete nuclear core meltdown himself and ends up passing away after grabbing some exposed wires in his frenzy. The end.
The end.
And there's a whole bunch of fun bits we're going to dig into now.
So much fun bits.
Alyssa, hit us with that couch gag and chalkboard gag.
Yes. Okay. So the director of this episode, Janice, is our boy. Our boy Jim Reardon.
Jim Reardon!
Jim Reardon!
We love you,
the
Jim.
highest rated episode ever. Once again, our boy Jim Reardon has directed such films as Wall-E, Zootopia, Wreck-It Ralph, Ralph Breaks the Internet, also The Plucky Duck Show, and Tiny Toons Adventures. We love hymns. The writer of this episode is John Schwarzenwelder, who has done an episode before. I remember that name. He's also written the Simpsons movie and done some writing for SNL. Moving on. The air date for this episode was May 4th, 1997, and the chalkboard gag doesn't exist. There is no chalkboard gag, Janice.
Bum, bum, bum.
The couch gag, though, which I have never seen this couch gag before. I've noticed that a lot of couch gags repeat, and like that's fine. But this one I have not seen before, and it's Bart is like TV colors, and Homer goes to change the TV channel with like the knobs on the TV, and Bart changes color. And to fix it, Homer just kind of hits him, and then he turns back into like a Simpson color. And I just thought that was really funny because I had never seen it.
Love it.
Do you want to start with the favorite lines, favorite one-liners, favorite?
Ooh, yes. So I also have some observations on this episode, but we could dig into those later.
Also,
when we
like,
get into
feel
like
free
fun
to just
facts.
like, throw them in if like they make sense with whatever you're talking about.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so first of all, I just love Bart's side story of buying a factory for $1. I don't know. God. I think that's where my dad has this joke. He's like, "Don't let it go for $1." And because my dad loves auctions, so he actually goes to a lot of auctions to buy like farming equipment and like all this stuff, and like it's fun for him, you know. And sometimes he finds treasures and brings them home, and my mom gets mad because it's more junk. It's a whole thing, right? But it's just he says it in such a way too. He's like, "Don't let it go for $1." And I'm like, where is that from? And I'm like, he probably got that from this and from being in auctions himself. But I just thought that was a really cute connection. And I just have that down.
That's really sweet.
Yeah, I just thought that was super cute. So I just love that beeline story. And funny fact as well, my dad really remembers this episode because of Bart's factory. And I'm like, so that must be where you got that from, because he buys it for $1. Together. So it's coming together.
All coming together, Milhouse.
Yeah, this is my dad's favorite episode for sure, because he remembers this like to a T. And he loves the flu epidemic episode too, but I mean, that's also a great one. Okay, The slow burn and snap of Frank Grimes is just so fun to watch.
Mhm.
I mean, it is literally watching water boil and explode. So much fun. Lots of suspense there. And then one-liners. Okay. Uh Ralphie, get off the stage, sweetheart. It's
I knew you were gonna
probably
say
my
that
number
one.
one.
It's so good.
I love Wiggum's relationship with Ralph. It is so pure, so funny. I
It's
just watched
amazing.
an episode today where Chief Wiggum got really scared of like one of Bart's ghost stories or something or whatever, and he's in Ralph's bed and he's like, "Dad, that's my pee-pee bed." And he's like, "Not anymore, Ralph. Not anymore."
I watched an episode today where Ralph is wearing a cone of shame, and Wiggum's like, "Oh, Ralphie, that's not for boys. Oh, you make a good dog, though." And he's like, "Arf, arf, arf."
Oh my god. Wait, is that the industrial museum where they go and he's like barking in a circle?
No, no, this is like a newer. Wait, this
The
is the
play date with
no. This
Ralph
is
and
this is
okay.
actually from the Gaga episode, so we'll talk about.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Can't wait. Can't
Did you
wait.
know that that line was ad libbed? Chief Wiggum's line.
Really?
Yeah,
It's classic.
I
The best
know.
lines are ad-libbed, I
I
swear.
know.
I appreciate it. Again, as we said in our last episode, I wonder where all the rats are gonna go. All right, everybody, tuck your pants into your socks.
That blew my mind when you were like, "That was in this episode." I'm like, "You're right. Wait a
Right?
minute."
I was like, I had that somewhere else, and sure enough, it was in this episode.
Oh my
I
god.
I appreciate a gag callback, like I really do. Even if I don't realize it at first, it will
I
click.
I think it's so funny watching all of these episodes as much as we have, and like I'll just keep watching them and you'll just keep watching them, and I'm like catching different gags that I didn't
Mhm.
notice before, specifically like the Mrs. Lovejoy where she's like, "Won't someone think of the children?" That
Children,
comes up
yes.
so much. And then at one point Mo jumps in and he's like, "Won't someone think of the children?" like right in front of her. And I'm like, this is just so funny that if I if I like wasn't watching all of these episodes in a row, I would just be like, whatever. But the fact that they keep coming back is so, so good.
Yes, yeah, that's one of my favorites, and honestly, like, what makes Mrs. Lovejoy memorable is,
Yes.
well, someone think of the children. God, I love it. Um, and then lastly, okay, change the channel, Marge. That's hilarious. And then, so this is my life. At least I did better than Dad. I did not catch that my first watch around when we were first putting this together. We've had like a spreadsheet of show notes of what episodes we were going to talk about early on, and we didn't know what
Mhm.
this was really going to like morph into. And I watched all the episodes, like all 20 of them that we've talked about, and I didn't catch that on the first round. And this round, I was like, oh my god, Millhouse, like that's. Ugh. He's got some great lines too.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay, Alyssa, favorite moments, favorite one-liners.
All right.
Say it all.
Let's do it. Okay, obviously the opening line from Ken Brockman.
Yeah.
It's such a good start to this episode.
Truly.
And like I even wrote down like honestly this is how news feels now anyway. Where you like turn it on, it's like, and it means death for us all. Coming up. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Oh god, how on
That's how I
point it
feel
is for
watching TikTok lately.
oh god, yeah, that too. TikTok is the news.
I know, if it's not selling you something, it's like, hey, did you hear that there's like an armada of aliens coming to Earth?
I know
No?
you're
Okay, we're
like
dying. And I'm like, what?
and then you flip it up and it's like watch somebody eat a bunch of food and you're like, where am I?
Yeah,
God, TikTok is a fever dream.
it really is.
Um,
Continue. Sorry, I cut you
yes,
off.
no. So I like how on point it is for Burns to be like, I relate to Frank Grimes, and then immediately forgets who he is the next day.
Yeah.
Also Grimes totally has OCD. Like everything's like perfect and in a line, and I was like, that is spot on for OCD. When Lenny, oh what?
Sorry. You inspired my fun fact.
Oh,
So, and I'm reminded of this because of Only Murders in the Building. Steve Martin is very OCD. Uh, Steve Martin was originally asked to voice Frank Grimes, but
mm-hmm.
declined. He
Mm-hmm.
declined. He would
I
imagine
know.
Frank Grimes as Steve Martin's voice.
I know. It would have been good. William H. Macy was also asked, and so is Nicolas Cage, and so is Rick
Yes.
Moranis. Like, all of these
Yes.
people. Uh, it looks
I
like,
mean,
oh, let's see. Hank Azaria. Okay, so William H. Macy was the character. They based Frank Grimes on William H. Macy. And Hank Azaria tried to copy his vocal qualities, but he said, and I quote, "I can't really copy him vocally, but I try to get as close as I could and copy his rhythms and the way he has that sort of seething passion underneath that total calm exterior."
which I think was successful too, you know? And Hank Azaria does a fantastic job no matter what. I mean, what a
Yeah.
talent.
Oh my
Truly, what a
god.
talent. We can all only aspire to be at his level. I mean, what a legend in this field. But
E- Everybody, every voice actor in The Simpsons is iconic, is an icon.
legendary.
Like,
Absolutely.
they're the top of the top.
Yeah, truly. I mean, just so incredible.
I know.
And as much fun as it would be to hear Steve Martin in that, I'm kind of glad it was Hank Azaria.
Yeah, I am too.
I mean, just keep it in the world of The Simpsons, you know?
Yeah.
But I do appreciate that incognito celeb guest star,
Yes,
you
I
know?
love those. I love the incognitos because,
Yes.
they're not trying to get anything from it. They're just like, hey, we have this person that we thought would like doing it, and
Yeah, and they're usually such a great cast
oh my gosh, yes.
of the character they want to like guess. Like
Mm-hmm.
I keep going back to it. Meryl Streep as Lovejoy's daughter.
Yep.
I mean, perfect for that role. Absolutely perfect. Nailed it. And other celebs as well, just nailing those roles. And it's like, but yeah, I digress. Anywho.
Ooh, I digress. I have so many hiccups right now. My one of my favorite lines is when Lenny's introducing himself and the gang to Frank, and he goes, "I'm Lenny. This is Carl and Homer. I'm Lenny." It was like he said it the same way, and I am, and then he just like walks away immediately, and I'm like, was that on purpose? Did they? I don't know. It's just so weird and random, and I was like, it's funny because it seems like it's incorrect.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, the blank stare that Homer gives Grimes when he goes, "Do you know how close you came to killing yourself?" And Homer just like, yes, okay. This line where Homer's sitting in the driveway and Marge comes over and she goes, "Shouldn't you be at work?" And he goes, "The car won't start. I'm not feeling well. I am at work." And
Yeah.
then she starts talking to him and he goes, "You're crazy. Get off the road." That is my humor, 100%. And I noticed that when Homer's talking to a picture of Lenny on his desk, he's like, "Oh, tell Mr. Burns I'll be back," and it's just a picture of Lenny framed that says, "Have a great summer."
They really hammed up Homer in this episode, like
Oh,
to a 10.
they did. Yeah, he was super hammed up. Hammed up. And I was watching this and I was like, man, Frank Grimes is truly like if they picked up somebody from our universe and dropped him into The Simpsons. And like my theory was confirmed. And I was so
Yes.
happy about that. Like they literally wrote him to be if like somebody from our universe was dropped in The Simpsons universe. And it hits so perfectly because that is exactly how I would feel if I had to be around Homer. I'd be like, what's wrong with everybody?
Yeah. What an idiot. Like,
I know.
truly.
What other fun facts do you have? Or
Oh,
other
Lenny
yeah.
saying, or when Frank is like, "Did you know that he almost died? Like, he should have died like 100 times by now." And Lenny was like, "Actually, it's like 319, or some very specific number." I was like, I wonder what the death toll count is now for Homer.
Oh God.
You know, it's probably way up there now,
It's
but
gotta be.
so funny. Yeah, I just, what a great episode. So I did have some discoveries in this that just kind of got me thinking. This episode is so thematic, like you said, with if someone from our reality was dropped into The Simpsons, but
Mm.
it also holds up a mirror to privilege versus non-privilege
Yeah.
and what that looks like, and the
Mm-hmm.
resentment from people who just have it so easy or seemingly so easy, and the people who actually have to like work and get there. It's just, it really holds up a mirror
Yeah.
uh to that, and I kind of appreciated that because not everybody comes from the same place of privilege,
Mm-hmm.
and some people do have to work a lot harder to get where they're at. It's a fact.
Yeah.
We all wish that we could be nepo babies, but sadly that's not the reality. And Homer is not a nepo baby, but the show is named The Simpsons, so it's his universe.
Yes, it is.
um And then also the corporate life parallel, I noticed being more qualified than others who just show up,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah,
know?
how like Lenny and Carl are like, oh yeah, we both have masters.
Yeah,
And they're
and
like, Homer
Homer
just
just
showed
showed up
up.
on the day. And Grimes has like really built himself up from, getting his own education and,
Mm-hmm.
doing everything himself. It's, yeah, that just happens. That's part of life. And I just, we both work in corporate. Like, we both see this every day.
Yeah.
People just come in because they know the CEO, or there's someone's son or someone's daughter or someone's, relative, or they had some kind of
Yeah.
interconnection or whatever. And it sucks because sometimes you work so hard to move up and get where you want to be in the world, and others are just
Yeah.
handed
Yep.
it when they don't really deserve it, but it's life. Also, millennials having to work 10 times harder for privileges than that were handed than Gen X.
Yeah.
Frank
100%.
Grimes is younger than Homer, and it just also put that age parallel kind of
Mm.
there that I feel like really stands the test of time. How
Interesting. I didn't
our
know he was younger.
generations. Yeah, I believe he was younger.
Maybe I just didn't like catch on to that. Because Homer's 39? I just watched an episode
Yes.
where he was sad because he heard that the average age of a man is like 76 point something. And he goes, well, I'm 38.1. And then Marge goes, you're 39. He goes, oh my God, I've wasted half of my life.
I need to look this up.
Do it, do it,
Okay, Homer. Oh, he's not given an age
do it.
specifically.
Okay.
However, he does seem younger just because he lives in a bowling alley between another bowling alley. He said
Yeah.
he lives in a bowling above a bowling alley beneath another bowling
Another bowling
alley.
alley.
And he works two jobs, even
Mm-hmm.
being at the power plant. So
Yep.
I'm like, is he really that disadvantaged, or is he just younger trying to work his way up and it just doesn't have the same, I don't know. That just
Yeah.
kind of put a thought in my mind. I was like, and I'm digging too deep, obviously, into
Mm-mm. I don't
probably
think you
like,
are. I think it's an interesting concept to think of it that way, or to also think of that them being the same age. And either way, like what you're saying is still true. It
yeah,
just means something different to whoever is watching it. So for us being millennials, we see him maybe as younger and we go, well, that makes sense because like I feel that. Or maybe there's somebody who is like the same age as Homer and they're like, I see Frank Grimes as myself because I've been around people who I'm the same age at and they don't know shit, but I know more than them, but they're getting more stuff. And like I feel that. And like,
mm-hmm,
I think that that's kind of nice that we don't know because then it brings two different generations together and being like, I feel like I am Frank Grimes.
yeah, yeah.
Just a
That
thought.
was my
Yeah,
just a little observation.
I like it. That's a great observation, Janice.
Thank you. Just very thematic.
I
It's
know
very
you're
thematic.
being so smart. You're very thorough.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Do you have any other fun facts of this episode?
Okay, so Frank Grimes. I think I said earlier that Frank Grimes was based on William H. Macy, but the voice was based on William H. Macy. Frank Grimes is based on Michael Douglas in the movie Falling Down, who was Jim Reardon's college roommate,
Mm.
which I think is funny. And then, according to Weinstein, we wanted to have a Bart or Lisa kid story to contrast the heaviness and reality of Frank Grimes.
I mean,
And
that was
Lisa,
absolutely needed.
yeah, and it worked. And I think I didn't write it down, but I think I saw Lisa only has like 10 lines in this episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dang.
Like, I
I
don't even
love
remember
everything
her in
about
it.
Bart in the Factory.
Oh my god, I love that factory. Where he like Milhouse is like, "Hey, maybe we shouldn't be up here. These signs say it's dangerous," and Bart just rips him off and throws him. He goes like,
Psh,
"How
psh,
do you feel
psh.
about now? Better."
Or when he's like, all right, you're on night watch, and he's like, go get something from the coffee machine. And
Here's
then
a
it's just
nickel.
cup, rat, rat jumps out, and then coffee. And then he drinks it, and he's like, oh,
I
so this
know.
is what life is like.
That's
At least I'm doing better than Dad.
Milhouse. You were supposed to watch this. What happened? I did watch it.
I
I
watched it
watched
all
it.
happen.
I watched it all happen. I watched it start crumbling down, and then it all fell down.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god. Thank God he wasn't in there.
I
That would
know.
have been horrible.
I know. It's classic Milhouse though. Like he would have been in there. That could have been like a whole episode where like Milhouse is trapped in this building and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but that wasn't this episode. Janice, how do you feel about the rating of this episode at
Oh,
a
I feel like it's
9.3?
perfect. I mean, 9.3 is, I mean, this is a real, it's such a really good episode. I mean, it's written so well, and it's that concept, like you said, a real person in this reality. And it hits the nail on the head.
Mm-hmm.
I think it does a fantastic job. I think it's one of the most iconic episodes. Um, Especially because we have a callback to Frank Grimes with Frank Grimes Jr.
Yes. It's like 2 episodes later, I think, is when we get Frank Grimes Jr.
Is it?
I think so. I just watched that episode today and I was just kind of like rolling through these after I watched them and it has to be in the same season. Maybe. Or I moved to season 14. Anyway, it was weird because I ended up watching his son's episode like almost exactly after this episode by accident. And I was just like, that's hilarious.
Oh, I love it.
And Homer goes, "Hey, wait, Grimes wasn't married." And his son goes, "Yeah, well, he liked a lot of hookers."
Yeah. The Great Loose Detective is what the episode was called. Yes, because Sideshow Bob helps out in that. That is season 14, episode 6. There we go.
See, I told you, I'm like rolling through the 14
You
because I
are,
love it
yeah.
so much.
Oh, it's great. I love that.
I think a 9.3 is good for this one too because I think that the episode before the last episode's top is way better than this one. Not that this one's not good. I just love that one way more.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
definitely.
I think a 9.3 is a good solid episode or a solid rating for this episode.
I also think a great top episode is something that you can quote a lot, and there's so many quotable moments in Cape Fear.
Mm-hmm.
Um and Monorail though. So, I mean,
Yes, like really,
I
like even this episode, there's a lot that you can quote, and it's interesting that all of the top episodes are the older episodes, and I think it's because they do give us that nostalgia factor, and we can quote them, so it makes us like all giddy inside.
yeah, and they were just, I mean, they were written by such great people who went on to do such greater things, you know?
Yeah,
And yeah, it's just the talent of those earlier episodes was just so strong. Not that it's not now, like it's still doing great. I mean, it's been on the air for like over 20 years. It's
but it's been on
fantastic.
the air for over 20 years, so
But it has been on the
they're
air for,
yeah.
it's hard to keep up, you
It's
know?
so hard. Like
It's
I
it
applaud their
it is an impossible
vigor.
job.
Yeah, truly.
Like we've been a bit harsh on some of the flop episodes, you know, but at the same time, like you said, it's hard. It's hard to keep it going.
Yeah. Not everything can be a winner, and that's fine.
That's fine.
We all learn
Exactly.
from our flops.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. All right, shall we move on to our flop?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. As a reminder, our flop this episode is season 23, episode 22. Lisa Goes Gaga, rated at a 4. A 4. Janice, hit us with that flop synopsis.
Flop synopsis. This is going to be really, really short. Okay. After a desperate attempt by Lisa to become more popular backfires, Lady Gaga shows up in Springfield to help her with her self-esteem. A lot of stuff happens in between, and we will probably get into a lot of that. Uh, Alyssa, would you like to hit us with the openers? Our
Yes, yes.
gags?
Yes, our writers, directors. This episode is directed by Matthew Schofield. This is his first straight directing gig. He did a lot of supervising directors for The Simpsons and a lot of background stuff, but this is his first actual him directing debut. The writer is Tim Long, who wrote episodes of The Simpsons, David Letterman, and all the Simpson video games, including Road Rage and Hit and Run.
God, I love Road Rage.
I know. I saw that and was like, oh, fun.
Such a good game.
The couch, there is no chalkboard gag, but the couch gag is The Simpsons as Mies, and Homer can't sit on the couch, and then we zoom out, and they're playing Mies, but they call it Z's, and Homer gets mad, and so he goes to sit on the couch, but then he falls off the couch like his me, and I thought that was kind of funny, actually.
Aww.
Let me hear some of your favorite stuff about this episode, or things you hated.
Well, I really didn't like that it was just a big ad for Lady Gaga. If this whole episode to me felt very, I don't know, it felt very kiss-assy. It didn't feel like anyone who wrote on The Simpsons wrote this episode. You know what I mean?
I get that.
It felt very off to me.
Yeah, I definitely get that. I really like this episode.
Really?
I know.
Tell me why. I'm so curious.
Everyone's like, oh, it sucks. It's so bad. And so I'm going into it. I'm like, this is going to be awful. And as I'm watching it, I'm like, actually, I kind of like this episode. Because
tell us about it. What do you like about it? What hooked you in?
Yeah, so it is definitely, like, you can tell Lady Gaga's not like the best voice actor, but like I do like her as an actor. I think that she has some good roles that she's played before. And this episode, while it does seem very kiss-assy to Lady Gaga, it also makes fun of her a lot, and she rolls with it. And she'll, like, the lines that she say is clearly like, oh, she knows that she's making fun of herself, because like everything's so ridiculous, and I think that they added that in because it's, I don't know, at some point it's like so over the top and ridiculous. You're like, okay, this is like a whole fucking, like, they're just like, Lady Gaga's crazy, over the top, and like she's like, yeah, let's do this, let's make an episode about me where I'm just like so fucking over the top. And I just thought that was really funny. Oh, what
What happened?
I don't know, like confetti coming down. That, I don't know. That's new.
Very new.
And this is, yeah, so when I was talking about Ralph's cone of shame, this is, it starts out with Ralph's cone of shame.
Oh my god. I did like at the very end where she's like, "Are you crying glitter?" And she was like, "Tiny diamonds. It hurts like hell."
Tiny diamonds. That's like one of those.
I did like that.
It's like, it's so dumb, and she is saying it, so she knows it's stupid.
Yeah. Grandpa being like, "I love you, Lady Zaza."
Yeah, like Zaza Kapoor.
Yeah,
like he doesn't know. Oh, let's see. The idea when Lady Gaga's like, remember what happened at like San Diego International Airport, and like they all go party in the skywalkway, and a TSA agent's like, I quit, and another TSA agent's like, oh man, you train them for 90 minutes and then they go and quit on you. And just the idea that TSA agents only get 90 minutes of training, I'm like, that makes sense.
Kind of checks. Kind of checks. I loved the moment.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Oh my god. No, please go.
I love the moment where Mo was like, wait, can you help me with my self-esteem? And Lady Gaga's like, I'm not that good.
Yeah, right. And then after
Mo's
that,
like,
he goes,
right.
He's like, oh, gotcha. And he walks away, and he just gets hit by a train. Like, immediately.
Oh, Mo.
I know. When Lisa gets awarded her least popular award, and he's like, you should just accept it and they'll be a lot easier on you. And she goes up and everybody's like, I can't believe she accepted the award. And Lisa turns around and goes, you said they'd go easy on me. And Skinner goes, I know very little about children.
Yes. Literally the worst advice.
I just think he's like, oh, I don't know,
Given.
children. And it's like, what, bruh?
I love the dig that Bart makes of, without award shows, how would we know what movie has the best beheading? Or that Glee is a comedy? I thought that was
Yeah,
great.
Glee's a comedy. Like, there's a lot of TV shows out there that I'm like, oh, whoa, what was it that was like, oh, the best, The Bear won like best comedy, and I'm like, are we gonna say The Bear is a comedy? I mean,
Right.
there's funny moments, but bro, I would call this a drama.
Yeah.
So yeah, it does help us know what's a comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Lady Gaga has like a dig at Jennifer Lopez when she's trying to find an
Yes.
outfit, and he's like, "Oh, but Jennifer Lopez low," and she just goes, "Burn it." And I'm like, I like that dig now because of like all the shit that Jennifer Lopez has done that's coming out.
Oh my god, yes. Yes. For our listeners who are not is pop culture invested,
mhm.
could you give us a little synopsis
Yes,
of
so
the tea?
it has come to the society's attention, and celebrities that know J-Lo have already known this for years, but like everyone's just kind of like waking up and realizing, oh, it's true that she has just kind of been like lying to people her entire life. She says she's from these bad parts of New York when reality she was not at all, and she lies about she just basically has been lying about her life, like where she came from this entire time. And on top of that, she doesn't really sing her own songs. She has people that will sing them for them. Like that's kind of something that's been popping up too. It's not great stuff. It's not a lot of great stuff. It's all
Nah.
bad for J-Lo.
Womp womp womp. But now you know.
Cause it's Mike's Super Short Show.
Do 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 do.
Did you ever watch that Mike's Super Short Show? It was like
I didn't know.
it was like a bit on Nickelodeon.
No, I didn't have cable growing up. So
Okay.
my exposure to Nickelodeon was at my grandparents' house and it was very limited.
Ah,
So I think the Thornberries were
yeah,
Nickelodeon.
yeah, they were.
I got to see some Thornberries, a little bit of SpongeBob, not much,
Awesome.
so go easy on me there, but a little bit of the Powerpuff Girls.
Ooh, that's
That was
Cartoon Network.
Cartoon Network though. But yeah.
Amazing. I love Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah, it was more of like an Arthur, Dragon
Mm.
Tales,
Yes, you were a PBS
Saved by
girly.
the Bell. Yeah, that was really hot. Saved by the Bell before middle school,
I never watched Saved by the Bell.
Oh, they had the reruns all the time in the morning. It was so
I
much
was
fun.
honestly, I was like, ugh, like real people, bleh.
And then Dragon Ball Z and
Mm.
Pokemon, like
Mm-hmm.
all the good stuff.
Yu Yu Hakusho.
What?
Oh, girl, that's a throwback.
I don't know that
they like
one.
they like just made a live action of it.
Interesting.
It's
I don't
very
know what this
90s.
is.
It's a very 90s anime. Like like I tried watching it again and I'm like, I can't. It's so bad.
Valid.
Um
Valid. The 90s were very experimental with kid shows.
yeah.
They tried.
They they tried.
They gave us variety.
They did, and some of them succeeded and some of them didn't, and that's how it is.
Yeah.
There's another one line from that I like from here, and I can't remember why he says it, but Milhouse goes, "I'm scared of the cars from Cars. Why do they have teeth?" He's like, they drink gasoline. Why do they need teeth?
Oh my god.
Homer's line to Lisa, "Do you want to honk your jazz tube?" I just think that after 23 seasons, the fact that they can still have Homer come up with the hilarious name for a saxophone.
Oh
Like
god, yeah.
he's had like the saxophone. That's all. That's the only other one I remember. But like your jazz tube,
Yeah.
honk your jazz tube.
Honk your jazz tube. Oh, it's lovely.
Lisa, when Homer's like, turn that frown upside down, and Lisa goes, it's not a frown, it is a straight line of resentment.
She's got great quips.
I know. Oh my god, when Marge and Gaga are at the kitchen table. And she's like, what can we do about Lisa? And Marge's like, I don't know. Like, I want to be one of those women that like fans her eyes and she doesn't cry, but I'm not. And Lady Gaga goes to touch her hand and she goes, ah! And then it's just like a back and forth between like, oh, Marge, oh, Marge, oh, Marge, calm down.
Oh, Marge. Gosh, she's so funny.
And
Her
then,
reactions of her just like breathing like when she stole the pencil are
yes, oh my God.
like that's what that brings me back to. That's classic
Yes,
Marge.
it is. And it was a nice kind of callback because we don't see her get that like over anxiety induced, I guess, as often.
Yeah.
I just thought it was funny. She was like, it's just human touch. It's
Yeah.
just touching your hand. And then the last thing that I have is when Lisa's singing her song at the end and she goes, I says something like, I would have married Millhouse, and it just cuts to Millhouse and he goes, and the song, end it right there.
Oh, Millhouse. Still loving Lisa.
I know. You got
That's
anything else? You got any
her
other fun
day
facts
one.
or favorite parts or?
Uh, not too much, no. At the end of the episode is a trailer for the short film The Longest Daycare, starring Maggie, which premiered 3 weeks after the episode. The film was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Animated Short Film in 2013, losing to Paperman.
Yeah.
Simpsons has been nominated a couple of times.
Oh yeah.
For some things.
It'd be impossible for them not to.
Oh god, yeah. But in terms of rating, where do you think this belongs?
I honestly, I really like this episode because I think Lady Gaga does not take herself seriously, and this episode is so ridiculous, and the fact that she was so on board with it, it makes me giddy. Cause like some of the shit that happens is so over the top and stupid, and I am here for it. I would give this rating like I would give it like a 6.5.
Wow.
I know, I'd put it up there.
Wow. I disagree. I think it belongs as the worst rated episode so far. I think it's worse than the Musk episode. And the Musk episode, like, Elon sounded just like AI talking the entire time. And with Lady Gaga this round, like, I expected more from her. Like, she is an actress as well. And, you know, I expected her to make some choices, and that could be direction, but at the same time I don't think she really brought much to the table. I think she kind of phoned it in.
She did mention she was really nervous because she was like, this is a group of artists that I've grown up with and that I love, and it's daunting getting to be in a room with all of them, and
I mean, yeah, how would we feel, you know?
Oh my god,
the same.
Yeah, exactly.
I probably have to excuse myself to throw up and then come back and be like, I am ready now.
She even mentioned that she's like, I don't do voiceovers, so this was like a lot of new things for me, and
yeah, just really out of her comfort zone.
Yeah, and hearing that she, you know, said a lot of these things, I'm like, okay, like I guess I can like be like, okay, your emoting wasn't as good as it could be. I get it. A lot of people don't understand like voiceover and how it's different from on camera. I'm not going to hold that against you. I usually don't when it comes to celebrities because it's like I know that they're probably going to suck. And if they don't, then I'm very pleasantly surprised. And that's always a win. But if they do suck, then like I go in and I'm like, okay, well, that doesn't change my opinion of the episode yet, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like I was already expecting that to kind of suck.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't buy the story as much as I did the Musk one. And I'm ashamed to say that because I think there was more potential with this story with Gaga. It was a bit, I don't know, they really laid into like this mystical element with her being like just a fairy kind, I don't know, because Lady Gaga is a real person, right? We know who she is, and to put her in this ultra mystical like role in the world, it just felt off to me. You know, I didn't respect that choice as much because it wasn't as grounded as reality as the Musk decision one was, to have him come in on, you know, his rocket, and improve Springfield, Lady Gaga just gets like a spidey sense that someone's in trouble and needs help and moves her magical train to go help who's in need.
I
Like
will
I
say
was like,
I thought that was dumb. I was like, yeah, this could have been handled another direction. So I agree with you on that. I think
yeah,
your spidey sense was stupid.
yeah. I wish it was just something, I don't know, like she was at a concert of hers and she just wasn't feeling very monstery, or she was in the corner, like, and she like floated from the ceiling to like, bring her on stage or comfort her and be like, why aren't you
Right.
singing, hon? Like, I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
that's more like a chaperone thing, like quality, but I guess, I don't know. For Lady Gaga, I would feel like it's one of her monsters. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
I just
right.
didn't
Well,
buy it.
we have a very strong opinion in both directions about this episode,
Yes.
which is
Yes.
hilarious. I walked into this episode so ready to hate it.
Yeah?
So because everyone is like, that episode sucks, it's so
Yeah.
bad, and I was like, oh
It
my
gets a bad
god,
rap.
it's gonna be so bad. And then when it wasn't, I was like, is it just because everyone said it sucked, and so I was expecting something so terrible that it like actually made it good for me.
I mean, we have a friend from college, Brandon Arthur Miller, lovely human being inside and out, who always said expectation minus perception equals satisfaction. So the lower you keep your expectations, the higher you'll be likely satisfied,
Yeah.
So yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, maybe that was it. Yeah, the same goes the other direction too. Like if your expectations are super high, then you go in and then you're
And you
like, well,
get really disappointed.
why does everyone say it's so great? Um, I'll take it. If I'm the one person that likes this episode, I'll take it.
Girl, you own that. And there is nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that.
Ugh. There was just too many moments in this that I was like enjoying and laughing at, and I was like,
See,
oh no.
I felt that way about the Musk episode more than I did this episode.
And see, I
This
did
ep-
not like the Musk episode, so that's
and
so
that's it.
funny.
Like I didn't like the Musk episode as much either, but I feel like I had that perception of like it was so bad, and I rewatched it and I was like, this isn't as bad as I thought it was.
Yeah, that's
The
so
second
funny.
time around, the third time around, I was like,
These
actually.
these shitty episodes coming at us,
Yeah.
being like, we suck. Now watch us, and then you'll like it.
Yeah. And then the third time around, I was like, no, there's some really good stuff in here. Why do I like this?
Ugh.
I still hated how his voice sounded like AI the entire
Yes,
episode, though.
no,
And
I mean, I just hate Elon. I don't like Elon Musk.
yeah. And with Lady Gaga not being as like well versed in voiceover, that's totally fine. But I mean, that's on the studio to coach her a little bit and be
Yeah,
like, hey,
that's
let's
on
do
the
it a couple more
director
times and
for sure,
make you
for
feel
sure.
comfortable. And she just did not seem comfortable at all.
Yeah.
But it also goes to show you that the most confident people can also be really fucking scared, and sometimes they flop too. But I mean, like you said, we can't all be winners in every area, you know?
Oh.
It just takes a bit of she's gonna have to work a bit harder for that. That's not her realm. But if she were to do it again, I feel like she'd rock it out of the park because she's done it once and she'd be great to do it again.
Yeah.
Lady Gaga
Aw.
too?
Lady Gaga too.
Give her a second chance. Why not? You know? Like Natasha Lyonne and
Yeah.
Krusty's daughter. Like, give her
Mm-hmm.
another chance and let her use her actual voice. Please let her use her actual voice.
That is her actual voice now.
No, her raspy, like
Yeah, she doesn't smoke
natural.
anymore.
Is
That was
she
from
like?
smoking.
But she's still got like a raspiness to her
A
voice.
little bit, but like it is what it sounds like now. Like if you see anything that Natasha Lyonne has been in or like a commercial or something, her voice is completely different.
Oh, okay. The last thing I think I saw her in was Russian Doll.
Yeah, so she stopped smoking after Russian Doll.
Oh, okay.
And like
That's where my
it's
disconnect is.
it's
Yeah.
crazy how smoking gave her such a raspy voice and how different it is now. It blows my mind. It'll blow your mind when you hear it the first time.
Wow. Yeah, I wonder if she could still channel that like rasp in her voice.
I
And
don't
if
know. Yeah,
not,
that's a good question.
if that was just from smoking, like don't smoke. Like choose your health. Like please.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. There is no need to like cling to it. I'm just curious, you know?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
curious
that
if the rasp is like attainable without the smoking because Nancy Cartwright, I mean, she is just phenomenal at getting that raspiness for
mhm.
Nelson.
Oh
It is
yeah.
one of the hardest things to do. And Pamela Adlon from King of the Hill, she plays the
Mhm.
voice of Bobby, you know,
Yes.
gaining that like, don't touch me, that's rappers. Like, you
That's my
don't like,
purse.
I
Yeah.
don't know you. Like that raspiness in Bobby's voice, like these women are incredible at doing that, but that's such like a hard skill to hone and maintain. Like you
Mhm.
can tell throughout between the earlier episodes and as the episodes go on, Nelson's voice changes
Yep.
a lot because it's so hard to like consistently get to, you know?
Mhm.
And yeah, I'm curious about that. Like as a voice actor yourself, have you tried to do the raspy voice? Like get into that register and have that texture?
I don't know, maybe. Yeah, so it's like talking like this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then maybe I'll go up like, oh yeah, I guess if I do my Muppet voice, it kind of gets me there.
Oh, I love it.
That'd be a fun thing to play with though, and see how much raspy I can get. Because like, yeah, it's not really something I think about very often.
Yeah, and it's hard. You know, it's hard to find that placement. It's hard to keep it consistent, and then coming back to it is even
Yeah,
harder.
not like hurting yourself vocally.
Yeah, and
It's
I'm
a
sure
lot.
that takes a toll because whenever we
Hmm.
try to put our voice in a place that isn't natural, it it does put some strain on it, you know?
Yeah. Shall we end this episode?
I think so.
Okay.
As always, thank you so much for listening to Animated Tops and Flops. My name is Janice.
And my name is Alyssa.
Please remember to like, subscribe, our YouTube, Spotify. We put out episodes every Monday, and we are pretty much at the end of The Simpsons. We only have one episode left, and we are almost there to finding out what is the best episode ever and what is the worst episode ever. So please go to our Instagram, Animated Tops and Flops, and vote on our polls. We want to see what you think is the best rated episode and the worst rated episode. We are in our semifinal finals bracket, so join us, vote, leave us notes in the comments. We read them all. We love to hear everyone's opinions about these ratings. Alyssa, what are we doing next week?
On our final episode of this season, we will be talking about our flop, I suppose. Season 33, episode 1, The Star of Backstage, rated at a 4.4. And our top, which is Janice's favorite episode, which I'm very excited to talk about, which is season 4, episode 15, I Love Lisa, which comes in at a solid 7. So this doesn't really fall into our bracket of numbers that we were choosing to, but we were one episode off and we needed something to go with the star of the backstage. And what better episode than Janice's favorite?
Love this episode so much. It's
I
so
can't wait.
iconic. It's so iconic.
I can't
Someone
wait.
on
I
our
can't wait.
Facebook asked what episode the Valentine one was, and I like had it in my back pocket ready to go. I had never been
It's
more
always
like I had never been in like the right place at the right time ever in my moment in my life than that. I was like, this is perfect. It's divine intervention.
oh,
So
it's amazing. It's wonderful. And I hope that you'll all join us in our last episode.
yes, and don't worry though, because we will have more. Season 2 is going to be Bob's Burgers focused. So, smell you later.